For men, because they now remember nothing but this finite segment of infinity. I mean, this is basically all we know. A veil has been placed over our minds, in other words. By the time of Christ, most philosophers opted for the Platonistic view of a beginning. The problem is that the Platonistic view is fundamentally irrational. And how is it irrational? Let's explore why the Platonistic view is so difficult to grasp, as opposed to the Mormon view of an infinitely existing universe. In a universe that had a beginning, the inescapable question is what happened before that beginning. This is what we face if we are a Christian theist who adapts Neo-Platonic philosophical metaphysics. What happened before that beginning? Did God exist? Was he active? Well, if the answer to that question is yes, as classical theists teach, then there is no ultimate beginning. The idea that the sensory universe began at some point in the recent past, while God has existed in a pleroma for all eternity, is simply a Hellenistic method of coping with the idea of the infinite. That's interesting, isn't it? Time is always measured as a chronology of events. That is simply how it's measured. That's it in a nutshell. That's just basic time 101. It is a chronology of events in an order. If in the classical view of heaven there was no time before the creation of the sensory universe, either events would have to occur without any chronological order, or God would have to be doing absolutely nothing. The latter notion is inconsistent with the character and the attributes of God as described in the Bible, and the former idea is absolutely impossible. Even rational thought would be precluded from a heaven that has activity but no time. Thoughts occur in some order, or else they simply don't occur at all. And they don't produce rational consciousness if they're not in order. I mean, that makes sense. That's perfect sense. Lack of any chronological order in the occurrence of events is the very definition of absolute chaos. Fascinating, isn't it? There could be no order in such a place. It would be filled with darkness. In that respect, it would be just as Job describes death. Job 10, 21 and 22. But darkness and chaos are not associated with the God of order, who is described in the Bible as the source of all light, John 8:12. On the other hand, if God had done absolutely nothing before creation, if he could not even think, it would be tantamount to his non-existence. And why is that? While he might be there, lying dormant in the darkness, it would be exactly as if he didn't exist anyway. He's dormant and it's dark. Mormon theology, consistent with the Bible, you gotta move, publicist. Just lay down. Good girl. Good girl. Mormon theology, consistent with the Bible, teaches that God has always existed. We also teach that God acts rationally, being a God of order and light. Our scriptures teach that, Doctrine and Covenants 132, verse 8, especially. Rational, orderly action creates a chronological continuity of events. Does it not? Absolutely it does. It follows that God must have been existing in a measurable time continuum even before the creation of the heavens and the earth. The metaphysical conception of the universe adopted by classical theists deny that possibility. At the same time, it declares the eternal existence of God. Classical theism is contradictory nonsense, is what it is. Can you understand that? That's fascinating how that works, isn't it? Can an infinite number be traversed? That's the real question. That's the question that Dr. Beckwith says, no, it cannot. One thing that Dr. Beckwith doesn't do, because he has adapted Neo-Platonic philosophy, is he doesn't recognize the fact that there are infinities within infinities within infinities, and finiteness is also embedded within infinity. He says an infinite number cannot be traversed. But that's simply not true. The science, the mathematics, and the logic of infinity say, even within this banana, maybe what, 6, 7 inches long, there is an infinite number of points in space. When you traverse this banana, the length of this banana, you have traversed an infinite number of points. If I eat the banana, only part of the banana, I haven't eaten the whole thing, but I have eaten an infinite number of points from that part of the banana that I just took a bite from. Let's explore Dr. Beckwith's idea here. Is it possible to traverse an infinite number? Yes, I just did eat that banana. Part of the banana. The rest of this banana still has an infinite number of points, even though a big bite of it's gone because of my big mouth. Besides, it tastes good. Bananas are healthy for you, too. Anyone by taking the smallest step. Let me swallow my banana first. Anyone by taking the smallest step traverses an infinite number of points. Indeed, with each additional step, another infinite number of points is traversed. Hold on just a minute, sweetie. Thus, an infinite number, as Dr. Beckwith expresses his premise, can be traversed very easily, and is in fact traversed by mortal man every day ad infinitum. I can traverse an infinite number of points by eating this banana one bite at a time, and with every bite I traverse an infinite number. Every time. With every banana I eat. With every step you take, you traverse an infinite distance. And Dr. Beckwith's example here is really cute. It's kind of funny. Let's hypothesize that a man gets on Interstate 15. And he's traveling from Las Vegas, Nevada, all the way to Salt Lake City to go to the temple. Contrary to Dr. Beckwith's argument, however, during his trip, that man would traverse an infinite number of points every moment his tires are turning. Once he gets halfway done with this trip, he already have an infinite amount of points behind him, and he still has an infinite distance to travel in front of him. When he gets 3/4 the way to Salt Lake, it's the same principle. And eventually, when he does get to Salt Lake, he really has traversed an infinite number of points in his distance. He has traveled an infinite number of points in his travels. Now, even though he's traveled for an infinite length and infinite points, he is at a different location. He really did get from Las Vegas to Salt Lake City. And in the process, he really did travel a finite distance through infinite number of points. That is the mathematical logic of infinity. Dr. Beckwith is simply wrong, saying an infinity cannot be traversed. It can too. Now, what else is interesting about Dr. Beckwith's real point is he notes here, he says, the infinite number being traversed in the analysis above consists entirely of infinitesimal points. What if the numbers being traversed were composed of finite segments